It's important to be likable, and yet it's also important to chart your own path. But sometimes we want to help other people, and we think that that's a separate thing from helping ourselves. But that's just not true. I was thinking about how sometimes people who I don't particularly like will have some sort of recommendation, some sort of insight that they want to share with me. And my knee-jerk reaction in those times is not to listen to them, not to take interest in what they recommend. It's usually to actually go out of my way to avoid the things that they tell me I should take interest in. For example, if I have someone who I work with who's fat and lazy and mercenary and doesn't really seem to have any firm values, and I just don't really like the person very much, but I spend time with them. And then they say, hey, you should watch this TV show. It's so good. You know what? Then next time I'm sitting there and I'm like, all right, let's find something to watch. And I see that show that they recommended. Crazy thing is, I don't even necessarily think I wouldn't enjoy the show. I just don't want to find out, because I feel like the fact they liked it is enough proof for me to not know that I would want to really watch it. Like, it's just like, you know what, if they like it, then it must suck. And it's like the opposite of what you would expect. Like, you'd think that people would say, oh, well, you should do this, or you should like this, or you should be into this particular thing. And you would think that would make you want to maybe participate in it. But if you don't respect the source, then you don't want to follow them. And I think that's true a lot in people's families and homes and things, like, where we have this feeling that we're trying to make our own way, and then someone comes along and they want to throw in their 2 cents of how maybe we could do things better. They want to manipulate us a little bit. And maybe they're not even trying to really manipulate. Maybe they're just trying to be helpful, and you don't want help from people who you don't think are necessarily having anything to offer. So the question is, what do we have to offer? Are we sending out the vibes, the message that, we're the kind of person who others would want to follow? Or are we kind of a joke? And if your life is kind of a joke, in the sense that you're not the kind of a person that's admired, maybe you think that you deserve admiration in some way, but you're really not very appealing at all, then at what point do you do more damage than good? Because everything you do to try to kind of help other people, you're actually pushing them away. I think we see that a lot in family situations where somebody's maybe they're a parent or something of that nature, and they tell their kids, hey, here's what you should do. And then the kids inevitably want to go do the exact opposite. Why? Because their parents said they should do it. And so even if it was a good idea, even if it would be helpful, they're not going to do it. They're going to rebel, because we follow the people who we respect. And a lot of people think that they can mandate respect. That you can, yell louder, you can talk louder, you can be a little bit more assertive, and that's going to potentially result in others paying more attention. But it actually has the opposite effect when you say, oh, well, you have to love me. well, then that probably is going to mean that you are loved less, if that's the attitude that you have. So oftentimes we do need to work on ourselves if we want to be able to help other people. That's not to say that we should be trying to make other people venerate us. It doesn't mean that we should be trying to get attention by saying, look at what I've accomplished. Now you can potentially accomplish similar feats of glory if you do what I have done. It's not about that. It's just you've got to be the kind of a person who sends out the right kind of a signal of attractiveness if you want other people to try to follow in your footsteps. And if you don't do that, then it doesn't really matter what you say. Like you're better off to do absolutely nothing. That would be more helpful than trying to be helpful when you are not an attractive person. And I'm not talking about being attractive in the sense of being physically attractive. I'm saying being attractive in the sense of being the kind of a person that engenders trust, the kind of a person who makes others want to drift more in their direction. As Warren Buffett is leaving Berkshire Hathaway, I think about him, and he's always been an investor who I've respected, and I've thought, I would want to be more like Warren Buffett, because Warren Buffett is, kind of he set the standard of what good investment looks like and is all about. So then there's other people, take Jim Cramer. Jim Cramer is a good example. He never really seems to be particularly right one way or the other. Whatever he says is like a 50-50. People almost assume that if Jim Cramer says something's going to go well, it probably is going to go south. And if he is bearish on it, then it's probably going to do well. He's become a joke because no one really trusts him. And then even if he does have something good, something redeeming about his character, no one's really going to see it that way. Very few people respect him as a serious contender for great investment advice. It's important to be credible. And a big part of credibility is not about being extremely intelligent or extremely smart or knowing everything. It's more about being a person who is inspiring to others. It's about being the kind of person who makes others feel good about themselves, or makes them feel a sense of optimism. That's what it really all is about. So what kind of a message are you sending to the people around you? Are you a person who's trustworthy? Are you a person who comes off as egotistical and out for themselves? These are the things that we have to ask ourselves, because until we become the kind of a person that we would want to follow, until we become the kind of a person who understands, like, why do the things we do matter? Why do our lives matter? What is it in our life that is maybe good? What is it that we stand for? Like, why do we get up every day and do what we do? And if you don't know the why behind what you're doing, you're not going to be able to tell someone else why they should value their life or why they should follow in your footsteps. It's all about finding peace. You've got to find a sense of tranquility, a sense of peace, to get up every day and feel like when you go to bed at the end of the day, it's been a complete day, and you don't have any unfinished business or any loose ends that are keeping you up at night, to be able to say, you know, I guess I don't give a damn. It is what it is. I am what I am. I'm not going to pretend to be something I'm not. I'm not going to tell lies. I'm not going to try to be crafty to get ahead. I'm at peace with who I am. You see that a lot in people who are old sometimes. So, you know, somebody who's retired and their life is mostly behind them in many ways. And they have time, they have patience, they have no desire to manipulate anyone, no desire to flex or to get ahead at the expense of someone else, no reason to play politics or to be passively corrupt, no reason to talk about the virtues of doing good while compromising on those virtues on the backside just because it's convenient in the moment. All of those things, you know, it's not about being the most financially successful or something like that. It's about having good character and doing good in your life. And if you do that, then, well, people will follow you if you are not lost. But if you yourself are pretty much lost, you yourself are always facing some sort of doubt, well, chances are no one else is going to really want to give you the time of day. And you don't want to be in a position where you put effort into life and then you look at it and you realize that you're so ineffectual that things would have been better off if you just didn't do anything at all. But that is exactly how it is for people with a negative influence debuff, if you will. You know, like, it's just better for them not to even be there. You ever work with somebody like that? Like, they're such a worthless employee that you'd rather they not show up for work, because if they didn't show up for work, then you could do what needed to be done without having to worry about their shenanigans. But if they're there, then you have added lost efficiency, because you have to not only do the work of two people, but you also have to kind of babysit the other person in some way. Or maybe they'll do something that's actually harmful, like they will actually undo the work that has been done, because they not only have a fixation on not being the right kind of a person or employee, but they also want to, be the center of attention. They want to get credit for being good. Like, I've known of people like that. They want kudos. They want recognition. They're going to complain about other people. They always have something going on, something that they think is a problem that they want you to deal with. And the reality is they are the problem. Like that's it. Like, there are no problems if they are not there. But once they're there, not only are they not really working, but they're complaining about everyone else who is working, and they're making other people stop what they're doing to cater to them. And then it just turns into a problem. Problems that don't even need to exist. So those kind of people are a net detractor. Doesn't even matter what they do. Like, if they just didn't do active damage, that would be considered a good day. And that's how it is when we have bad character, but we try to lead others. Work on yourself, find peace, be the right kind of a person before you try to give other people helpful tips on what to like or how to live. In any case, as always, till next time, thanks so much for watching.